Will Fleury, Oktagon heavyweight and light heavyweight champion, is the guest of today's episode of Live Sport Daily. Will, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Cheers for having me, man.
First things first, sorry, I have to ask, definitely, your name, your nickname, better say. Where did it come from, actually?
Oh, since I've been a kid, even before I did any fighting, I've been Will fucking Fleury my whole life. Well, since maybe like 14, 15 years old. I used to play rugby, so it's a real physical game. And like, I had like attitude problem, you know, so like if I tackle somebody, I'd always like stand over them, like let them know I just fucking...
You're above them.
Yeah, like, you know, I just fucking minced you, you know.
Okay.
So from this then, it'd be like, I just got hit by Will fucking Fleury, you know, boom, Will fucking Fleury kind of thing. And then, yeah, just stay going. And now, then, like, as soon as I started the fight, they were like, what's your name? I was like, I'm Will fucking Fleury.
All right.
So.
Was it always like this? I mean, regarding the attitude, that, you know, competitive, furious kind of?
Yeah, probably a little bit. Like, I don't know. I wasn't actually that good at rugby. Like, I was a decent player, but like, it wasn't like I was like amazing at this. But I always really wanted to be like top level at whatever I was doing. You know, like, I suppose every kid is competitive, you know. So I think I let that competitive side kind of like push me a lot. And then eventually when I was in my like 20s and it became more martial arts, that type of thing, I realized like actually this competitive shit is kind of not good for me in a way, as in it's self-destructive. So like I felt like if I was trying to constantly compete with other people, actually I was only kind of messing up my own mind. And eventually you get to a point where you're like, well, as long as you feel like you're getting better at something, that's a really satisfying feeling. So it's like, it's just about improving yourself. You can't beat everybody at everything all the time. It's a stupid attitude to have. Why not just focus on improving yourself?
So basically control not only your own emotions, but your competitiveness was the first step in order to be who you are now.
I think so, yeah. Like obviously, look, if you, like MMA is a very like win or lose type of sport. But if you have this attitude towards it, it kind of screws you over in a way. So like my focus is just like, make me a little bit better. And like if I lose the fight, but I've tried my best, yeah, fucking shit happens. And I think that's really liberating. Because like I can't define the result, but I can define my effort. So once I know, it's like, okay, man, did you try everything you could have tried? Yeah. Oh, fuck it. Like, you could have moved this way. Yeah, well, next time don't do, you know, like you dipped into a head kick. Okay, next time be more aware of that. What could I have trained to have been better at that situation? But this thing of like having a fear of the end result, you can't live like that, especially when you're involved. Like the result is going to define your life for the next couple of months at least, you know, and it'll be a long time before you get the chance to right that wrong. You might never get the chance. Like I've lost fights that I'll probably never get back. It still does eat at you, but if you go into that thing thinking that like, what if I mess it up? You're already losing, if you know what I mean. Whereas if you go into that free, kind of feeling liberated and like, hey, I've done my best. I know I've trained everything and I'm just going to let this thing flow. It's a much nicer feeling. It's much more like you get this sense of like, okay, anything is possible here. I'm just going to go with it and see what happens. And you create things. You're like, that's the funny thing. When you put yourself in that place, your brain starts to just work it out for you. And if you're kind of overly attached to things, you think too much, you're kind of resisting what might happen. Yeah. Just go with what will happen, you know?
It reminds me actually one of your quotes, which interested me. I'm going to quote now. Apparently, many people think that this is a tough job and a tough lifestyle. Actually, it really is not. Get a proper job for a couple of years and you will see what is tough. This is so easy and you are so free. First things first, do you really mean it? Like,
yeah,
is it? Oh, because from my perspective, this is one of the toughest job, obviously from the physical perspective.
Honestly, like, I'm not just saying this, like, okay, physically, there are things I do that are pretty hard, but I choose when I do them. So like, nobody is my boss, I'm my boss. I've had a real boss in life before. I much prefer to be my own boss. Yeah, I have to do some things that are difficult, but I accept them on like, I'm either going to do this to be in that position going into the fight, or I'm not. So do I want to work hard and be a champion? Yeah, okay, I want to do that. Cool, that's my motivation to do this thing. So it's difficult, but on like, I'm the one motivating myself, I'm the one choosing to do this thing. But like, if you've ever felt in a position where you couldn't change and results, or like you're in this frustrating situation, everyone in life has been at some point, where it's like everything is kind of surrounding you and you can't really control what's going on. Fighting's not like that at all. You have total freedom to be the fighter you're going to be and to train yourself the way you want to be. So
is this the biggest motivation of yours, actually, to be your own boss, the one who is in control?
Not even my own boss, but just to like live life the way that I want to and be my own man, and like not let, like, I was a quantity surveyor in London. That was the job I used to do, and like, this meant nothing to me. It wasn't something that fulfilled me at all. It was a way to earn money and get a paycheck. I loved martial arts even back to, you know, that was when I was in my early 20s. So I was like, eventually there kind of came a point where I was like, am I willing to do this for the rest of my life just to earn enough money to survive? It's like, that would be a pretty shit life. So I felt that thing before. And now it's like, okay, I possibly I could have made pretty decent money doing that. But I definitely, the money wouldn't be worth it. Whereas it's now like, oh, actually, you put enough effort in to make pretty decent money doing this thing, and it's been really worth it because the last 10 years have been really enjoyable in my life. And in a way that, like, that thing of just wanting to, like, not have to change who you are just to get by in life. I've been very, very lucky in the fact that, yeah, that's, like, I've been able to just be myself and make a living in life. Most people don't get to do that, and I'm very grateful for the fact that I have. Like,
yeah, but you also openly decided, actually, I don't want to say, I don't want to really mean it in the proper way, how this saying, but you are like open to pay the price for it. Kind of.
Yeah, of course.
You've done the things that others actually decided to not. Obviously.
Yeah, and there was a long time where I'd made fuck all money doing this, and it didn't seem like it would be worth it, you know. So, like, I get it, but honestly, I think even if I'd done that and it failed, I could always go back to work. So even if like 7-8 years ago, when I wasn't making a whole lot of money, it was like, okay, you're 29 years old, you got to go back to work. At least I fucking tried. Yeah. Was how I would, like, even back then, like, I'd failed. Like, you know, I remember one stage it was like really, I was like struggling to like find the next month to pay rent, and it was like everything, and it looked like there was no fights coming anytime soon. And I was working a little bit as a bouncer, like a nightclub security guy. And I was just like, maybe I have to go back and get a full-time job now. Maybe I have to like stop this whole thing. And thankfully, fairly shortly, I got a contract with Bellator and all that. So it was like, oh, great, this has worked out now. I know I'm pretty financially secure. But even in that period where it was like, you might have to go back to work, I wasn't like, why did I do this? I was like, I'm glad I tried. Now, maybe when I went back to work and I was like, some guy who's 22 was ordering me around, and I was like,
we wouldn't do this interview afterwards. So.
Yeah. But I think I still would have been in a position where no matter what way it had worked, I would have been happy as long as I tried, you know? Because like, the worst thing I think you can do is not fucking try in anything. Like, you know, it's like, I look at fighters now and I'm like, they want to be a champion and they're not pushing themselves to because they're afraid of the consequences to do that. And it's like, but man, if you're in this position already and you don't try to go for that big thing, you're going to hate yourself.
What's the point then? Yeah.
And ultimately, it's not like, oh, I didn't become champion, because that doesn't really matter. It's like, no, you hate yourself. That really matters. You don't like who you are, and now you have to live with that for the rest of your life. So whatever you have to do to not be there, do that.
You've mentioned Bellator. There were other organizations that you were a part of.
Loads, yeah.
BAMA, PFL, now the Oktagon.
Yeah.
What are the differences between them? Because you are one of the unique fighters who have experiences with most of the organizations, not only in Europe, but North America as well.
Yeah. So there's a different culture everywhere you go. Like, I noticed even like Bellator and PFL were the two most similar, because like Bellator got bought by PFL, but I was with them both when they were separate companies. So I was with Bellator when it was just Bellator, and even before they started coming to Europe. So I got signed. My first fight was in Rome in Italy, but I got signed before they'd started creating Bellator Europe and doing all the events in Ireland. So that was back in 2018. I had 6 fights with them. Then, yeah, so they were a decent company to work for. They paid really, really well, in fairness to them. But like, it always felt a bit like, you're the token Irish guy and we want you to be like Conor. And I was like, I'm not going to be like Conor, guys. That's just not me. That's not what I'm about. So I did feel a weird...
So they forced you actually to be this character?
Not at all. No. But it just felt like that's why you're here. Because we're looking for another guy who's kind of similar to Conor. You know, and like nobody ever said anything like that, but you always knew.
You feel it.
Yeah. You know? So there was always a funny kind of like, they want you to be this, but actually you're this type of feeling with that. With the PFL, it was a little bit similar in the fact that like they're an American company. They want you to be kind of, you know, that like, you know, Irish guy, brash, blah, blah. And to be honest, like maybe I'm more like that now, just naturally. But that wasn't like part of who I was. I was just a pretty respectful martial artist, wanted my martial arts to do like the talking and like wanted to just be myself, you know, because I was unique. Like, you know, I always feel like, well, you've done this thing to represent who you are. Don't try and be like anybody else. Why the hell would I want to do that? So I did feel that same thing with them. But what I will say is like, all of them have different cultures and all of them have different organizational structures and like, they do and don't work. Like the thing with Bellator and PFL, I would have fought in the Tree Arena in Dublin where it was incredible crowds. I fought in Tackerville in Oklahoma where there was like, it's a bunch of fat Americans who like, they're there to gamble for the weekend and there just happens to be some fights on and the atmosphere is terrible. It's the culture of the company makes a big difference into how the crowd feels about being there a little bit as well. Now Ireland, because we had such a big rise in MMA for a period of time because of the whole Conor thing, it was like fans were going to come no matter what. But everywhere else I fought with Bellator, the atmosphere was so dead. And what I will say, and like I'm not just saying this because I'm signed with the guys now, Oktagon have an incredible company kind of culture and it feeds into the fan base as well. So like if you go to fights in Ireland, it's mostly drunk, like coked up young lads looking for a little bit of violence. You'll get some friends of the fighter there and like some family from the fighters. But other than that, you really don't get families at MMA shows. Here you do. And like the atmosphere is great because of that. Like, and it's a very different culture. And even like, it's very mainstream here. Like the mainstream media, you guys, you'll cover it. Like MMA is a very accepted sport as part of the mainstream because it's like, it's not seen as something that's seedy or violent necessarily. Violence is part of what we do, but actually it's about respect and martial arts. Oktagon have done a good job of displaying that to the public because that is what martial arts is. But in most places, the company only wants to sell you the real violence and you're only going to appeal to young guys doing that.
It's true. Oktagon added martial arts to mainstream here in the Czech Republic. How the people actually see the sport. Yeah, that's right.
It's a really good culture. It's much better. And like even the culture around MMA in the Czech Republic in general, it's much healthier. It's a much nicer place. Like, look, I love fighting here, to be honest, because like the fans are very, you know, decent. They care. Like you kind of feel like a lot of the fans are like looking a little bit deeper into your career and that they want to know a bit more about you and you as a person, this type of thing. And it matters to them what you're like. Whereas most fans like in Dublin and in England and in America, it's literally like, did you knock the last guy out? Was it a crazy knockout? Other than that, it doesn't matter. You know, and if you've knocked 3 guys out in a row, okay, you're amazing. But if you haven't, you're shit. Go home.
Very informed about this aspect regarding Oktagon and the Czech Republic and the situation what actually happened in a couple of last years thanks to this organization when you decided to sign with Oktagon.
Yeah. So I came in 2017 with Paul Byrne. He was a training partner of mine. And I cornered him when he fought at Tillavey at Octagon 3. And even that night, it was like, wow, this is a really different atmosphere. So I don't know how they created this so early on because this was only their 3rd show. But Paul lost the fight that night, but it was a pretty close fight. Like he gave Attila a good go at the end of the 2nd round and Attila came back in the 3rd round and won the fight and no arguments, he won. But it was like good fight, you know, and the fans started clapping him as he was walking out. And I was like, we're the away guys and we've lost. If this was Dublin, they'd be like throwing beer at him, like giving them the finger or whatever. So we were kind of surprised, you know. It was like this was a really nice atmosphere. And then after I'd watched a couple of the shows as well, and I was like, whoa, it's different. It's a different culture. So I knew by the time I would actually before I signed with PFL, I was trying to get a 1-fight deal to fight Tom Breeze in Oktagon back in 2022. And I was really excited about that because it would have been the end of year show in Prague. And I was like, that'll be an incredible atmosphere. I was actually really excited to fight before. And look, at that point, I was like, okay, PFL are going to pay really good. I'm a chance to win $1 million tournament, all this type of thing. But I was like, this would be great atmosphere. Whereas, like, you know, normal PFL fight probably wouldn't be as...
It's crazy.
As emotional an atmosphere, if you know what I mean. So yeah, back then I did have an awareness of Oktagon, or like doing like really cool shows, really special things with the fan base here.
And in the time, were you also aware about because obviously Oktagon is the one reason why this sport is considered mainstream right now in our country, and second reason is the person of Karlose Vémoly, obviously the most popular fighter in the couple of last years. So were you aware about not only obviously his fighting skills, but more like marketing and PR skills, who actually he made for the sport, and why he brought it to such a popularity?
I knew about Carlos. Like, I trained with Carlos like 10 years ago when I lived in London, when I was working as a surveyor. We trained together. Now he says he doesn't really remember. He like messed up my ankle pretty badly one day in sparring.
Oh, he should remember then.
Yeah. But he says he doesn't. And I believe, like, look, honestly, we chatted one day, like, after the cameras were off, and he was like, oh man, I'm sorry if I did that, but I actually don't remember. So I believe that he doesn't. But like, I knew him as a fighter, but I had no idea how big he was here, because like in England he was just another fighter, like, and it was, you know, he's got like kind of go forward style, whatever. So all I would ever have thought about him was like, yeah, guy, he was in UFC, now he's doing some shows over there, and I was like, it's probably doing pretty big things. But then when I came to that show in 2017, and after I saw that he got involved with Oktagon, and I saw that the whole thing was going up and up, and you know, now I still didn't know how big he was here, because like even today, like, look, I'm at the train station coming out here, people are like, oh, Fleury, and they're taking photos with me because I'm the guy who beat Carlos, you know. Yeah. So like, he's huge, it's crazy, and like he's done a really good job at like creating that kind of like celebrity status and awareness, and like, it's actually, to be honest, it's pretty admirable what he's done here. Like, you know, of like, he's managed to, like, Oktagon have obviously done this as well to a degree, and both of them have been professional in how they've done it. But to kind of make it something that's not seedy, to make it something kind of like a little bit more wholesome. Because even in, like, I've seen some of his interviews translated back. At this stage in his career, he speaks quite well. Now, I know a lot of people still aren't like a massive fan of his.
Yeah.
But actually, when I hear what he says, I'm like, yeah, it's all good stuff. It's all like good mentality. You know, it's like not like negative shit. It's not like, you know, this like crap. Like if you watch fighters in America now,
it's a different
it's a very different culture. And like, it's not something that I'd be mad to be part of. You know what I mean? Like, obviously being the highest level fighter possible is your main goal. To get, like, we're here to fight, guys, you know. At the end of the day, you have to be amazing at fighting. That's the number one priority. But if you're not a person that you like being at the end of that, what the fuck was the point in all of that? So like, I look at a lot of guys now, like John Jones is a great example. Incredible fighter. Nobody can argue that he's not. But is that somebody I want to be? I don't think so. Like, I don't think I'd be happy if I was that guy. I don't think he's very happy in himself if you look at his behavior. And it's like, shit, it's sad that you can be this good at the sport and ultimately end up an unhappy human being who's going out doing the shit that you're doing. And to be like, it's kind of depressing to see guys like that where you're like, fuck, there was so much there, you know, and there was so many people believing in you. You obviously believed in yourself. You had all this amazing potential and did, like, and fulfilled it to a degree. That's the mad part about it all. It's like, how do you get that good and still end up being a piece of shit?
But I don't think it's really common, this kind of thinking about things in this MMA bubble, to be honest. I don't think not many fighters have like this kind of set of rules when it comes to, you know, behavior and thinking about things. It's much more free, I would say.
Yeah, look, that's the thing about MMA, I suppose. You get to be who you want to be, and it shows that there's some people who like who you want to be is a piece of shit. True, but at the same time, like, I think if you look at a lot of those people who are like going out and doing really crazy shit, it's like, ultimately, are you happy with who you are? And again, look, we all have our own fucking individual morals and individual version of what's right and wrong to ourselves. But I kind of think if you're making other people feel like shit, you can't feel like a good person. You know, like, and if you're putting something out, yeah, look, again, it goes by, like, you see John Jones and the assault of his wife and that type of shit, and you're like, man, how can you admire yourself after you do something like that? Because deep down you must know you're a piece of shit. And that has to lead to other, like, you know, you look at then the drug abuse and all that other shit, and you're like, okay, well that's because of all of that. Like,
I'm gonna follow up with a question which actually might be a tricky thing, but I feel that you are not only here but also in previous interviews, you are very open about all of these topics, and and people actually, I think they admire and appreciate the fact that you are open and feel the honesty there, because obviously a couple of years ago you were banned for a certain period of time for doping stuff. First things first, why did you do that? Because right now, when we are speaking about this, you know, complex of moral things and everything, I don't want to say it's not true, but I would say that these kind of mistakes of past actually create a person of who you are now. If it's true.
Yeah, definitely. Like, look, you don't know what the wrong way is unless you go down that way, like a little bit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, I've drank to excess. I've done a lot of stupid shit in my life. I'm not here like trying to be like, hey, no, you can't be a good martial artist unless you're a perfect person. No, fucking God, no. Like, for the doping, my whole reasoning behind that was like, I was, 33 years old at that stage, and I'd had my ass whooped by a bunch of guys who like were definitely taking some shit. I did a fight at light heavyweight, So it was actually around the time that I was looking to fight that fight in Oktagonu. I'd been offered the PFL contract, and they were like, we want to fight at light heavyweight. And if you win this fight at light heavyweight, you'll get a chance to be in the $1 million tournament next year. So initially I was like, no, I'm not a light heavyweight, guys, because I had a fight in 2020 during COVID, like in the middle of like the really strict lockdown in Ireland. Anyway, we had like 5 months of like, you couldn't leave 2 kilometers outside your house, this type of thing. In the middle of that, I took a fight because I was going in training with a Polish guy in the city, and it was like illegal at the time, but we were doing this. And he was like, hey, you want to fight this guy 2 weeks time in Germany? I was like, yeah, fuck it. And I was like running a lot. Because there was nothing else to do. It was just me and my girlfriend at home, and like I'd just go training twice a day. So I'd like go on long runs. I'd had like a barbell. I'd do some weightlifting. So I was in what I thought was pretty good shape, but I was only about like 92 kilo. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll take this fight. And he was like, yeah, this guy, he hasn't been training, whatever. He's 100 kilo. He wants to fight at light heavyweight. So I weighed 92 kilo. The fight was at 93 kilo. So I was already underweight. And I was like, normally I wouldn't do this, but like it's COVID. There's no other fights. Yeah, let's do it. Come on. So I did it. And when we got there, like we got there the day before to weigh in, and the guy was huge and he was jacked. And I was like, But I was like, I can still whoop his ass. So I was like, okay, I got this. And I was like, he's going to gas out. I'm just going to wait. Like, first round, I'm going to be a bit tentative, play with him. Nah, he didn't gas out. Like, he was just really jacked, really good shape, everything. So, like, he bet the crap out of me. He submitted me in the second round. And I've never been, like, toyed with like that in a fight where a guy was just so much more physically powerful than me. And I had that experience. So then when they offered me the fight at light heavyweight, I was like, no, thanks. I'm not a light heavyweight, you know. I trained with some light heavyweight guys. They're a lot bigger, or back then, they were a lot bigger than me as well. So I was like, I'm not going to get involved with that shit. And then they were like, okay, but here's the deal. If you win this fight, you go to the $1 million tournament. Now, at the time, I'd been with my girlfriend for about 5 years, and she was really anti-steroid. And I was like, okay, give me a week and I'll get back to you guys, okay? Because I knew what this meant, you know? And I went home and I was like, hey. So look.
Here's the situation.
Yeah. And she was like, you can do what you're going to do, but like, don't think that I approve of this. Because she was very anti this sort of thing. And I was like, well, look, I'm at a stage now in my career where like, I've got to make something of this. And if I don't, I'll probably feel a bit shitty. And if I don't go for this chance, I'll probably feel like I'm like I've let this pass me by and I could have made something amazing out of this. And then as well, just a chance to be financially secure for her, like £1 million, like, yeah, it's not bad money. And like, I was thinking about it, like, if I don't do this, okay, what do? I fight for like, you know, a bid and a bid and a bid, and I earn my living like for the rest, you know, for the next like 5-6 years, and then at the end of all that, probably I have to go back to work anyway. I was like, no, I could win this, set up a gym, do a lot of amazing stuff for my life. I was like, this makes perfect sense to me. I was like, I know I can win the tournament, you know. So it was like, I think a lot of it came from the fact of like, well, if I do this, there's a damn good chance that I actually do win this thing, and everybody thinks you're not that guy. So like, there was a little bit of like showing everybody, fuck you, I'm actually the man as well. So that little chip on my shoulder as well, to be like, I'm the guy, and none of you believe it. So then, yeah, obviously I started and did it, and I won the fight against Chris Jocko. Chris Jocko also tested positive, and then in that tournament, like, there was 10 guys in the tournament, and on that one night in Las Vegas, 6 out of 10 guys tested positive. Now, if you ask me, were the other 4 guys clean? Not a fucking chance. Everyone in that tournament was taking something. Now, a lot of the guys that come from middleweight, so like, you know, if you're going to be a middleweight and move up and gain 10 kilos of muscle mass, yeah, there's probably some steroid usage going on. So what I'm amazed by was like the fact that the PFL kept Rob Wilkinson, they kept Thiago Santos, because they were like, yeah, it's okay if you're famous and you're dope. Don't worry. But see these guys? Yeah, no, get rid of them. It was just like it's a very mixed moral message, isn't it? Like, because like they were trying to, obviously exposing all the results and going so public with it and all that. It's like they're trying to make a point. But then they were like, but see these guys? Yeah, they're okay. That's fine. Like, Rob Wilkinson's still with the PFL.
Too big to fall, I would
say.
A
little bit, yeah. And it's just like, hey, if you're already famous and you've juiced up already and you won a tournament by juicing up, you can stay in the tournament. Don't worry, there's not really going to be any major consequence. But all you new guys who juiced up, no, you're gone. It was a crazy, like, looking at it after, you're like...
Do you regret it? Looking backward?
Not really, to be honest. And like, I get asked that question a lot, and to be like, I have to be honest about this. It's like...
Or maybe... Better question is, would you do it differently if you would be in a same situation?
Yes, I would definitely do it differently, but I wouldn't say I wouldn't do it. And I know that's controversial, but like, the reality is most guys in high level sports are doing some sort of performance dancing. I was very naive to that when I was young, and I honestly thought like, look, and that's not everybody. This is where it gets complex morally, because like, you can say, hey, lots of guys are, so it's not a big deal if I do. Well, it's like, well, there are guys who aren't. And I admire those guys, honestly, I do. But if we don't have a way of showing who is and isn't, and it's very, like, look, and again, I'm a guy who got caught saying this, like, so, like, but, like, here's the reality of, like, the first fight I was on that I was juiced up for was the fight I got caught with, right? And I was like, oh, shit, I'm 1-1, whereas, like, I know a lot of guys who've been juiced up their whole career and they never, ever failed the test. Or, you know, they never even got tested.
Positive, yeah.
So, like, it's funny. I would say if we're going to have a system, make it extremely fair to the point where nobody can cheat, which is definitely not the system we have of testing at the moment, or hands off, let it go and do whatever.
Yeah.
We definitely can't get to a place where there's 100% transparency and 100% that if you're taking something you will get caught. That is not the case, and I don't see that it will be. I understand that people are going to try their absolute best to do that.
What role in your motivation did this fact that your name was kind of tarnished for a ban for 9 months for doping and taking this kind of steroids? What kind of role did it play in your motivation in the recent successes in Oktagon? Like, was it actually the will to clean the name?
I think a lot of it came from, like, I always felt like I was a really good fighter, and I never felt like I got to prove this the way that I could have. So, like, I've had a chip on my shoulder about being kind of not given opportunities and not, like, getting the, you know, the credit I've probably yearned for like being a really high level fighter. Because I would travel and I would like spar guys in UFC, like high level guys in UFC, and some of my training partners were like considered like high level guys. And I'd always be like, wow, I can beat the crap out of all these guys.
You felt you are on the same level.
Oh yeah, better. Like, you know, honestly, I felt like there's only 1 or 2 guys I've ever trained with that I've been like, whoa,
okay, I
need to get up to his level. And like there are guys I've trained with who I'm like, they have a much better skill set in this area and this area. But in overall MMA, of like, if we had to fight now, there's only one or two guys that I was like, if I had to fight them today, I couldn't beat them. You know, and even that was a couple of years ago. So it's like, I'd like to see that now. And I was like, look, that's a really powerful thing. That's a really powerful feeling to have. So I've always felt like, wow, I should be able to make a really good living out of this. I can do things that are incredible. I know the level I'm at. I want to go and show the world that. And I never, like, look, when the doping ban came in, I was kind of like, okay, you're probably never really going to get your chance to show that, was how I felt. And then, like, it was only 9 months, and I was like, okay, in the grand scheme of things, 9 months isn't actually that long. But during this period, my friend Carl, he had a fight in Chicago, and I was like, once his fight in Chicago is finished, because I was helping him spar and train for this, and I was back doing a little bit of work at this point, I was like, once his fight's finished, I'm done with the sport. And then a couple of guys who were close to me were like, I don't think you should end it. And I was kind of playing with the idea, but I was just like, I wanted someone to convince me not to end it.
So you were thinking about quitting the whole show and the bubble and everything?
At that point, yeah. Just like, I suppose for the year before that, everything in my life had been about winning that tournament. And it was a weird, like, as an adult, you get better at dealing with adversity, and obviously MMA, you know, people pull out of fights, lots of things happen last minute. But that was a big one, and I'd really set myself up, like, mentally about the next year is going to be, you're just in this tournament. Every decision you make is about winning this tournament, you know? So if it's like, hey, you want to come see my parents for an hour? No. I'm recovering this hour because I'm going to, you know, it was like
total focus.
Yeah, basically. And when it's just not there anymore, there's a massive hole in your life. You lack purpose. You lack like a little bit of identity even, because you're the guy who's going to go and do that. I'd already set myself up mentally. I was like, that's who you are. You're the guy who just goes in and smashes this tournament. You're the guy who came out of nowhere and won this thing, you know, and then it's like everything is open. All of the possibilities are there. But I was like, they're not there. And now you can't even fight. Now you can't do anything for 9 months. So that was like, okay. And then my whole thing just became like, look, you're helping Carl prepare for his fight. And after that, you don't have an identity. You don't have anything. You're just going back to work. You're doing this thing. And during that period of time, while I was like, his fight was in Chicago. And while I was in Chicago, one of my coaches sat me down and was like, you can't end things like this. He was like, you've been at too high a level for too long. He's like, if you walk away from this now, you'll be so bitter. And he's like, I know you're like not, you're going to do whatever it takes to not be bitter about who you are, if you know what I mean?
And we are back with it, you know, at least try.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was like, look, whatever I do now, everyone's going to be like, you only did that because you're juiced up and all this type of shit. It's like, that's going to follow you forever. And he's like, and you're not going to give a shit because that's who you are. I know that he's kind of right, yeah. Because even now, like, look, I see everyone's like, it's just because you're juiced up. It's like, okay, mate, you take a lot of juice and come and fight me and see how that goes.
With this perspective, actually, it's I know that there is only the next fight is always the biggest one in your career, which is the mindset of many fighters. But knowing all this, was the fight with Carlos, after all, the biggest in your career? Because obviously it was about the title and everything, and you were able to actually become the champ. Yeah,
it was like definitely from a career perspective of like, you know, what had actually changed. Yes, it's changed more things than any other fight has changed things. Like, look, I come here now, people know me, people recognize me straight away. You know, it's crazy to me, like, because that fight was, 7 months ago now? And still everybody remembers. It's a big thing for a lot. Like, you know, my friend, he has like a Czech girlfriend, and he calls me when he's back in Ireland. He's like, just say hello to her family. Just say hello to her family.
Okay.
And they're like out in like, you know, very far east near Ostrava. And they're all like, Fleury. And it's like, it's crazy. This family knows me. Because I'm just in a gym in Dublin, like, hi, how are you? So things like that. And obviously, look, you know, you get to become the champion in Europe's largest organization. That was incredible. And then I knew a lot more doors are going to be open now. So I felt like that kind of broke through that barrier of like, okay, this guy, here I have a level of respect now. People understand, wow, this guy's a really good martial artist. I think it wasn't just winning, it was the manner in which I won as well that helped, because like, yeah, it was pretty dominant. I showed like there's a pretty big gap in the level here, and not to shit on Carlos, he's obviously like at the end of his career now, and he showed incredible heart in that fight, genuinely incredible heart in that fight. I know a lot of people like gave him a lot of credit afterwards. I gave him massive credit afterwards.
I heard your respect
yeah, and that was
him
really,
actually
like,
was even bigger after a couple of weeks after the fight.
Yeah,
I really appreciate what
because
he was, like what he survived basically.
Having watched it back though, there was a lot of times it would have been very understandable if the guy had just gone, you know what, I've taken enough tonight, thanks. But he didn't. And look, whether it was the connection with the crowd or just like, and I think honestly, if I'm being very like honest, I feel like before this fight he probably knew he wasn't going to win. So he maybe bargained with himself to be like, I'm going to lose with dignity. You know, I'm going to go out there and give everything.
I'm going to go till the end.
Yeah, no matter what. You don't get to just smash me. And he had that attitude, and it like, how far it went was incredible. You know, like to land knees to the guy's head and connect, and he just stayed going. Honestly, like, even watching it back sometimes, I just kind of like, how the hell did he take this? And how, like, it makes me a bit emotional to watch it, because you're like, the man's willingness to accept damage just to save like that kind of, that I'm not going to quit attitude. It's, in some ways it's like dangerous, but in another way it's kind of admirable, you know. Like,
yeah, even between the fighters.
No, he definitely earned my respect.
Guys,
like that night, man, I was like, whoa, you're a strong-minded man, like, you know.
Yeah. Regarding the next steps, obviously, you are a champ now, as we can say. What you're up to in the upcoming weeks? Because there were also from my colleagues many questions, which titles are you going to defend, or if you want to be, because of your history in the middleweight, like the champ kind of. So what are your plans? I
have a lot of plans. And
tell me.
So I was thinking I could defend this light heavyweight title pretty quickly. I'm 105 kilos right now. I'd like to defend the title in September or October. And then possibly, depending on how the situation between Engizek and Muradov works out, because as far as I can see, Muradov really doesn't want to fight Engizek doesn't want to fight McStanton. Muradov's now the interim champ. Well, want to pull yourself out of the tournament, or, well, let's see what happens. I feel like that fight's just not going to happen. We'll see. Time will tell if I'm right or not. But I feel like him and Engizek Muradov fight each other early next year. Whoever, I think Muradov wins that fight if they do end up fighting each other. I could go down and be triple champ. Like, I could go down, challenge Muradov for the belt. That would obviously be a massive fight. I think Muradov's a great fighter. I actually think he's probably the best fighter in Oktagon right now besides myself. I'd love that. So I'd love to fight for the light heavyweight title September, October. Possibly, if it comes that way, and it's going to be a long time before the middleweight fight, or before they give me the opportunity to go down and win this belt in middleweight, then I could defend heavyweight again in December, maybe. Where
would you like to actually put this challenge when in terms of like dreamy location? It's my last question.
Sure.
Because obviously kind of hypothetical, but if you are about to pick the place where you would like to fight for a title, for a championship, would it be like, obviously Europe, Central Europe and everything, but Ireland was my obviously logical idea. Was it something like the place where you would like to put yourself in the biggest crowd?
To be completely honest, the atmosphere in Ireland's incredible. It really is. Like in the Tree Arena, when you get it full, it's like a wall of noise hitting you. It's
to hear your bagpipes there in your home.
And the energy would be incredible. But it's funny, I've done that a few times. Like, I've walked out to a sold-out Tree Arena a couple of times. It's incredible. Like, I would love to do that once more in my career. That genuinely means a lot to me, to have that.
I feel but there.
Sorry?
I feel but there's going to be a but in the sentence.
But because I've already done that thing, I'm like, okay, I know what that feels like. I would love to feel it once more. But if I watched Carlos walk out in Eden, and I like the atmosphere that fucking, the way the crowd reacted to him, I suppose it was a summer night as well. It was a beautiful night. I remember just thinking, whatever it takes to be able to do this thing, I'm willing to pay that price. Like, you know, whatever I have to go through to be the guy who's walking out here like this. And maybe not even in Eden, maybe not even like that. But like, to have that many people, to have that much investment from the crowd, I don't know if it physically matters where that much.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I want to have that affinity. Like, so like, that's one thing, like, look, I think I'm very like open, honest. It's not the simplest story in the world that I'm telling here. Like, you know.
No, it's about,
but
actually I appreciate it. It's not about the legacy and everything and the atmosphere and how the people see it, no matter where it is.
Yeah. It's like, actually, it's just about creating that emotional connection with the fans. And like, look, if that's that man's last ever fight, he can sit back and go, I've left a fucking legacy here.
Okay.
I've done something very beautiful. And like, I would love for my, like, whatever, it's my last fight or like, you know, maybe it's the Smurdov fight again, but to have that like moment where it's like, yep, these people feel you feel them. There's going to be something special happening in here. And you walk out. And it's just like, we know tonight, I'm the man, he's the man, we're going to go.
Okay.
And everybody understands what's about to happen, you know, to create that moment. Honestly, man, that's why I get up in the morning, you know. It's like I feel like I'm one of the very few people in the world who can go and do things like this, you know, and to create like even who has the chance to be triple champ besides me, like, you know, very, very few people all over the world could do that. And I feel like I can kind of make that very special. And I just really want like the opportunity to go and do it in the first place, but to, when I get that chance, make it fucking beautiful. And like, I know that I can do that. That's the funny thing. It's kind of like, there's a lot of work. It kind of scares me, the amount of like, whew, you know how hard that's going to be. Even now to make middleweight, it's like, oh my God, like think of the journey ahead of you to do that. It's not going to be easy. That's like 6 months of pain right there.
Yeah.
But then like, to get that feeling of like, I've just climbed Everest. I've just done this thing. And the like level of joy and self-respect that comes from that. Oh, that's it. Like, even thinking of the drug that's going to be, it's like, whoa.
That's a challenge.
Yeah. And like, even, it's one of those challenges that facing into it makes you, I think, focus. It may like, to fight another fight, to fight another light heavyweight, to fight, it's like, okay, yeah, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. It's kind of like, I know this process I'm gonna have to go through to get to that point. With that fight, to go to middleweight, to fight one of the best guys out there, it's like, I don't even know, like, I know it's gonna take a lot, but it's like, the journey of that even scares me a little bit. But I know that no matter what, going down that road makes me better, makes me like me more, makes me respect myself more. So it's like, that's the path I know I have to go down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will, thank you so
Cheers,
much for your time
cheers.
and for your openness and honesty. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Thanks, Will.
Appreciate it.